Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Yes, welcome to Ask Rob and Rob, the show where we have answers for your property investing questions, whatever they may be, whoever you may be. This week we've got a question which allows us to really dive into the detail of a specific deal, which we love to do. But before we do that, a quick recap of how you get in touch with a question of your own.
Yeah, so if you want to call in and leave us your question, it's 013 808 00035, or you can do it via a website on your phone or your desktop, and the link you need for that is propertyhub.net/ask.
Okay, now let's have a listen to our question. This one comes in from someone not a million miles away who's possibly abusing his position a little bit.
Hey Rob and Rob, it is producer Dan here. Sorry everyone, I've kind of jumped the queue here because I've got a question of my own. Recently, I hit my cash flow goals, and so now I would like to change my strategy. Instead of buying distressed property where I refurb and release the equity, I would like to buy and hold property that is a little bit more geared towards capital growth. I'm thinking new or new-ish flats, ideally in a purpose-built block to keep the maintenance down. In the show notes, I've included a Rightmove link to a property I viewed at the weekend that I'm probably going to put an offer in on, and I'd love to know what you guys think of it. Anyway, keep up the good work. Podcast sounds fantastic. You've obviously got an excellent team behind you. Cheers.
Very sneaky, Dan, using your privileged position to jump the queue. But how can we not answer this? We're digging into a deal.
Okay, so looking at this now, this is a 2-bed apartment in Stockport. It looks like it's a purpose-built block, but a nicely done one. It's got a bit of character to it. And looking at the internal photos, it doesn't look like a whole lot needs to be done to it. So it's not a swanky, completely move-in ready modern apartment, but it's not shabby at all. And it's got a really nice kitchen lounge area. So Stockport is an area that we like. As a flat, it looks pretty good. But what about the investment case? Rob, what are your first impressions?
Your first impressions are good, Rob. I really like the look of this property. The layout of the second bedroom is a little funny. So when I look at the floor plans, I think you need to take that into consideration for the rental market. I think, Dan, one of the things you need to be aware of is checking that you can comfortably get a double bed in that second bedroom, because that will really open up the rental market for you. I note that this property was initially listed back in September at a couple of £1,000s more. It's now at 117,000. So while Manchester city centre is definitely on the up and up, it still shows that there are areas of Greater Manchester that haven't quite kicked on yet. And then when I go further back and I look at similar properties that have sold, I can see in the same block that one went for 110,000 back in 2016. So if you can get it for that sort of money, then you're getting in at 2016 prices, which means that you're doing pretty well. You know, even back in 2014, they were only 103,000. Now, fundamentals, so important, and they're absolutely there. You are close to the train station, and you know this area, so I'm preaching to the converted. But being so quick into Piccadilly is a big tick in the box for me. Now, the yield isn't spectacular, but like you've said, Dan, you've hit your income goals now already, and this is about capital growth. So how will it do? Well, I think it's going to be fine. You may not see any major uplift over the next 12 months, but I wouldn't be surprised in about a couple of years' time you do see this property and this area specifically starting to pick up in its values. So I think your timing is pretty good. You might be a little early, but not to a point that it's going to hurt or harm you. And the yield is good enough, you know, that you're going to make an income in the meantime, and you've got a property that's going to be a lot easier to run and maintain.
When we go and look at the price history, which is something that I always like to go and do and look back over the last 10 years or so, something that gives me great comfort when it comes to capital growth is that there are flats in this block that are selling for less than they were when they were built new in 2005. So if you get this property for 117,000, then you'll be paying less than somebody was 13 years ago in cash terms. By the time you factor in inflation over that time period, in real terms, you're paying a lot less than you were back then. Now, I, of course, don't know what the property was really worth back then. Maybe it was massively overpriced. It's possible that it was overpriced when it was a new build, because that was really coming into the explosive phase of the market there. That's the time when you could be going for really aggressive prices, and people will have been outbidding each other and getting carried away. So it's absolutely no guarantee, but as an indicator that there's likely to be growth here as the cycle progresses, that's something that would give me a fair bit of confidence.
It's an okay area, it's an okay property, it's an okay yield. It's not exciting, and for that reason, a lot of people would be put off. But it doesn't need to be exciting to be a really good investment. So while you may not be throwing this Rightmove link in front of all your friends and family to show them what you've purchased. It's just a solid addition to any portfolio. And because you have a portfolio now, properties like this are just very safe additions. But overall, Dan, I think it's a thumbs up, but I'd be using the fact it's been on the market for a few months to my advantage and getting that price down a little bit further.
Now, you don't have to be a producer of the Property Podcast to ask a question on Ask Rob and Rob. It helps, as we've seen, because you can jump the queue. But we are very happy to take questions from you, whoever you are, whatever you want to ask. Just give us a call on 013 808 0035 or go to propertyhub.net/ask. That's us done for today, but we're going to see you back here on Thursday for the Property Podcast. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.